Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the first episode of Author Echoes. Our first guest ever is Khory Hawkins. Hi, Khory.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I have loved Life with K. I have loved Gothic Angel, and I am loving your Prince and the Frog story. And I want you to tell us a little bit about you as an author. Please introduce yourself to us and let us know all the wonderful things.
I'm not sure about all the wonderful things. Um, much like my bio says, I am a little tiny author in a tiny town in a very small house with a lot of people and a lot of animals, and hopefully a lot of love. My writing is mostly private, just because I, believe it or not, don't have a whole lot of confidence in my writing, but that's getting better. Um, I do have that novel with my wife, my Gothic Angel. She did A Life for Kay, which is a really sweet story if you ever get into it. And The Prince and the Frog was my first foray into a sort of twisted fairy tale, and I'm really kind of happy with how it turned out.
So, how did you choose the story to the story you chose and the twist you gave it? What inspired you?
Ooh, well, when I started to think about twisted fairy tales, the first thing I thought about was role reversal. And it seemed like in a lot of fairy tales, the main character seems to be female. And they are usually very innocent and sweet and get into a lot of trouble and have a happy ending. Okay, fine. But what if it wasn't a girl, you know? What if the guy was, the nice person who weird things happened to and it all ended up okay? Would the bad thing happening to him be suddenly a female who is super rude or entitled or you know? And the Princess and the Frog just struck me because the very beginning is so very innocent. I'm playing with my ball at a well, and turns into this frog completely invading her life, and yet suddenly she kisses him in the end. Huh? That always seemed very bizarre to me. So I flipped it, and I thought, what would happen to a girl if she was turned into a frog? Why would she get turned into a frog to start with? If she wasn't a snotty royal who got her comeuppance by being turned into a frog, what would that look like? And just for funsies, let's put it in modern times so people can relate. That was pretty much that.
That is beautiful. I love every single aspect of that. But then again, I love to read reimagined fairy tales, flip fairy tales, any type of redo of the fairy tales. I have loved it. And yours is just, it just struck me as awesome because mine, I've been doing a series about death and what happened if he comes and takes the fairy tale character. Yours is normally what I like to pick up and read. And I am so grateful to get the joy of helping with uh, the anthology and be in it with you. I am so grateful that my kids and I get to be in it with you. So, what, let's talk about My Gothic Angel. And that one hit home. That one hit home so hard, it's like you took a sledgehammer and you smacked me in the head. Let me put it that way. That's why I chose to keep that one forever. What inspired that?
Ooh, well, um, that story, um, like a lot of the stories between my wife and I, started out as a role play. Um, I have some particularly uncomfortable mental health disorders, and it helps sometimes to be able to write it out. It's a sort of catharsis. And I discovered when I was writing that sort of thing on my own, I'm completely incapable of leaving something like that, no matter how terrible things get in the story. I seem to be completely incapable of not giving it a positive, not necessarily a happy ending. It can't be, and she completely overcomes all of her trials and tribulations and lives happily ever after. That's absolutely not how life works.
No, it isn't.
But but your main character can get to the point of things are being worked on and they are surrounded by people who love and accept them for who they are and who are going to support them on their healing journey. And I think that's kind of where my gothic angel sort of excels, is showing realistic mental health struggles, showing how that might look around relatively neurotypical people, and how you can still have a life and success and love even though you struggle.
I loved the support system that you gave them, the found family.
Yes, absolutely. Um, of course, in the MJ has her cousin, who is obviously related to her and incredibly supportive. Um, MJ bringing Crow into it sort of tangentially with the music, and getting the bass player and the lead singer to sort of meet up and go, hey, okay, we're going to work together no matter how this goes. We're going to work together. So you can be having a bad day and I'm here, and you can be having a good day and I'm here. And the dedication, I think, of both MJ and Crow when it comes to Tarja is, I would like to think, part of what makes it compelling reading, because there is so much affection between the three. It's very genuine. Um, and they go through a lot together, and they're still together as that family, um, related or not.
I absolutely um, felt in my body how scared she was when her mom came in, and uh, how she reacted to her needing meds and her needing help. But I also in real life know that when you find the right people, unfortunately, sometimes it takes, as you get older, or that random family member who just is like, hey, no, that's not how it works. But for me, it was like I got older and I found people that were willing to see me as a human, not just a a diagnosis. She has that diagnosis, so she's this, this, and this. And where you took it from, no, I don't see you as that. I see you as my family member. I see you as somebody that I will find a way to protect. That was like one of the most beautiful things to see in a book. Also, there can be happiness in the world. I want more people to feel that in my situation, in your situation, however your situation is, listener, that we can be, we can find a family that will love us. What was your, what part of the book were you, did you like most? Did you love most? Like, I can't wait till readers get to this part.
Ooh, trying to find parts to pick out that I really focus on. Um, they tend to be the very, I don't know, almost domestic moments. Um, there is a scene towards the very beginning of My Gothic Angel, which you had actually taken a quotation from at one point, which ended up being relatively pivotal to the plot. It was where MJ was auditioning Crow to be the bass player for his band, and Crow gave what he thought was a mediocre audition, and MJ was just blown away and so effusive in his praise that Crow very shyly showed him something that he didn't share with other people because he was sort of shy about his past and how he became a bass player. Um, and it seemed like such a very quiet, very intimate moment between the two men when they're just starting off that I think really connected them. It started that sort of family bond of I see you and you see me and we get each other. I love little moments like that where everything just sort of narrows down to this little moment and it has such a big impact on everything that happens after.
Yeah, it almost felt like that moment later in the book, you're like, oh, that moment was a, like, ripple that changed everything.
Exactly. It was sort of a catalyst for all of the goings on with the band and involving Tarja and their traveling. It all just kind of led right up to the end of My Gothic Angel, which, believe it or not, is actually book one of what's intended to be a trilogy.
Okay, I am officially more happy than I was for you agreeing to be on here. And I was extremely grateful. Okay, now let's do some questions that are just about Khory. Who is your favorite
Okay.
author?
Oh, that is an unfair question to ask a
Okay, you
reader.
can pick five.
I can pick five. Ooh, okay. Um, Oh Lord. Do I try to appear super educated or just pick trash?
How about you pick what
I'm
makes
kidding.
Khory super, super happy? Is like, okay, if I'm going to read just to make me happy, I pick up these books.
Okay. Well, I have been a fairly avid Anne McCaffrey reader for like most of my life. I picked up one of her Pern books when I was about 8 years old, and that was all it took.
I just checked out one of her books from the library. I can honestly say I love her.
She's amazing. She has such incredible depth to her world building. I really envy it. And it doesn't matter if it's sci-fi or fantasy, that she's dipping her toes in, or even a cross between the two. How do you talk about space monsters and telepathic dragons in the same sentence? The Fern books have all of it, and it's prolific the amount of books that she has written in her life. And I love that her son is continuing that legacy. Hmm. I'm trying to think of other authors who won't make me sound funny.
Okay,
Um,
let me put it this
I
way.
am.
Nobody you choose is going to make me think less of you. And if you choose somebody that make any of my listeners think less of you, they need to try a book and then make their own opinion of that author. Don't judge us because you haven't read it and you think it's too this or that.
Yes, definitely. Always try before you judge. That works for books and for food. Um,
If only my 6-year-old could figure out that about the food.
oh, I know. It's not gross just because it's green. Try some, says the woman trying to get her best friend to eat guacamole. Um, I'm gonna go super old school with this, and it's gonna sound silly. I am absolutely obsessed with uh, Tolkien's work. I have been, I was one of those people, I read The Hobbit in about an 8 hour straight sitting and immediately dove into The Lord of the Rings. I was 13 years old and got so in depth with it that when I finally finished the last book in Lord of the Rings, I went outside to play and saw a circling buzzard and dove behind a tree because my brain screamed, Nazgul! And it has been such an influence. I read it once a year. I watch the movies almost incessantly. It's really kind of ridiculous how obsessed I am with that particular series.
My daughter and I just had our own little book club meeting throughout this last couple of months because her class was reading The Hobbit. And in our meeting, we talked about things we liked, things we didn't like, how much we don't like the spiders, and so on. So we agree. We love Tolkien.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said for a man who can write something that epic and have it stand on its own for so very long. Um, I'm sorry, I forgot what we were doing. We were doing authors. Hold on.
Yeah, we are doing authors. If
Um,
you'd like to continue listening, please do. If not, I have other questions. Either way, we love authors.
okay. Okay. Well, let me throw out a modern one that I've been really, really enjoying. It is fantasy, but it's modern fantasy. Jim Butcher's Dresden series has been so much fun. a wizard in Chicago, and he's a real wizard, and nobody believes him, and all of this strange mess happens. It's fantastic, and the voice that Jim Butcher gives to Harry Dresden is so much fun to read. It's just a riot the whole way through.
Sorry, the kids are playing and the bikes are loud, so I was giving them a second to get through. I agree, and I love the audiobooks because Spike from Buffy does the voice, reads the books, and
Yes.
I love just playing the audiobooks in the background while I do things. It is awesome.
Yeah, my wife is very, very into those audiobooks and even met James Marsters with a small skull, and he was absolutely thrilled that they had brought Bob to come see him.
That is awesome. I am so happy that that happens. I'm just so
Yes.
happy I've got to read your wife's stuff. I'm so happy I got to read your stuff. Um, what? Not what. Where do you like to write? Are you like a desk or a couch or on your phone type of person?
Oh gosh. Well, uh, I am I am a Gen Xer, so I have gone through all of the permutations. I went from hard copy and insisting on only being hard copy because that was real writing, um, to doing everything on the computer. Word was my absolute love of my life for many, many years. Um, and once I got a phone, that really increased my ability to write just because I could do it absolutely anywhere. Um, and of course, like most people, pushing 40 at the time, I was very slow to start. And now I do pretty much everything on my phone, which makes writing easier and editing a trial.
Yeah, it's easier to edit on the computer and write on the phone for me. Then again, I still write some things in a random spiral notebook.
The problem I have with the random spiral notebook is A, I will misplace it, and two, it will never get typed up. So it sort of disappears into the ether. The only advantage is it's not living in my head anymore.
True, but with me, it's easier for me to write it down mostly because that's the way my brain works, and I don't know why.
I mean, I am very, very visual. I'm a compulsive note taker. I do tabletop role playing games, and if I don't keep notes for everything, I will remember nothing. So I write all the way through the game in between talking. Some game masters find that very distracting, but I think everybody else appreciates it when they get there and going, it's been a week and life happened, and what were we doing last time?
I love that. That makes me extremely happy. Okay, we are coming up on time. I want to ask one more question and then we're going to close out. What is your favorite drink? Are you a coffee, a tea, a soda? What do you love to drink?
I really have to say coffee. I spent 10 years as a barista in my career, my ever-changing career, and got super, super spoiled. And now, if it's coffee, I will drink it. I don't care where it comes from. It will happen.
Awesome. And then I guess the last question is where do you want people to find you?
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what socials do you want us
Um,
to come see you on? Get the latest news. Tell you how much we love this scene in the story.
well, you can find me on Facebook at author Khory Hawkins. Um, Relatively easy to find, I would like to think. I do have an email. It is listed on my Facebook page, but I'll tell you, it's Khoreations@yahoo.com. Khoreations is spelled KhoryAtions.
That is
So it's
cool.
sort of my name. Yeah, I thought it was funny. It kind of sounds like creations, but it's me.
I really like you. You have been fun. Okay, listeners, thank you for joining us on the first episode of Author Echoes on the Changers Network, and let's find out what my buddy has in store moving forward. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you, Khory.